Hello, Rob Walker here again, doing commentary for Victorian Cutout Theater Episode 4, The Hourglass Threshold. I wanted a title for this episode that would convey the concept of time travel, and that's what I came up with, The Hourglass Threshold. I think it's a good title, I really like it, but it sounds a bit more like a 1970s sci-fi book than a Victorian-era one. The concept for this episode began with the idea that there are two brands of societal science fiction, the utopia and the dystopia. I wanted to use this to juxtapose immense idealism with humanity's inability to learn from our mistakes. You can see examples of the utopia in some form or fashion in the film Minority Report, but the dystopian future is far more popular. We see it in Blade Runner, Escape from New York, Road Warrior, and many others. Some of you may have noticed that the time machine here is modeled strongly after the one in George Pal's 1960 adaptation of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. I really liked that design and wanted to use a slightly different version for it here. I should also point out that H.G. Wells' book, The Time Machine, was the very first science fiction novel I ever read. It had a profound effect on me growing up, so when I started doing Victorian Cutout Theater, I knew that I wanted to reference it at some point. I wanted the professor's speech to be passionate and realistic so that the humor of the ending would come from the tragedy of subverted expectations. I have a dark sense of humor, if you haven't been able to tell yet, and I believe that the old adage that comedy comes from tragedy is absolutely true, and that has been kind of the mantra going forward with Victorian Cutout Theater. You can see it strongly in almost every episode. This episode is structurally different from the episodes previously because it has less jokes in it. The previous 3 videos are filled with jokes beginning to end leading up to the grand punchline. I always try to end on a big pop. And this one isn't as punchy all the way through. There are some comedic moments, there are arguments with the people about who's going to go with him, but overall it's not. It's more about his speech leading up to the punchline. I did this because I wanted to use the social and political mindedness found in most science fiction to build expectations toward a big reveal. I used what is called Kirby crackle or Kirby dots for the bubble effect in the time machine. Right before it travels through time, this effect was named after the famed comic book artist Jack Kirby. The Kirby dot effect is one of my favorite aesthetics in 1960s comic books. The time-traveling glow scene here is based off of one of my favorite television shows growing up, Quantum Leap, and I wanted a good glowing leaping effect. The original ending for this episode, I had a warrior gorilla traveling back with the professor's skeleton, indicating that the future was ruled by intelligent apes. I really adore Planet of the Apes and would have loved to have used that concept, but I decided that the simpler ending of the spears in the skeleton would have worked just as well and would probably suit better the speech the professor gives. Well, that's it for now. Check back in 2 weeks for commentary on Episode 5, In Memoriam. Thank you for watching.